Hello everyone and welcome back for some more Drag Race gossip, secrets and drama. So I'm back for another Have Your Say video.
Girl, please. No. Sorry. Next.
And this is for All Stars 11 episode 8. So today, as usual, we're going to go through what happened in the episode, then go through the results of the Have Your Say poll, where you at home get to vote on if you agree with the outcome of the episode. And I'll be talking about a little bit of recent drama to do with Vivacious calling out a designer who scammed her, but also how this designer was the cause of why production had to change the rules for future All Stars. All that and more coming up in today's video, so let's get started. Also, if you like these videos, and of course you do, because why would you not, and you want to see more of them, please make sure you hit that subscribe button because it does make a big difference. Thank you. Okay, so let's start by recapping the episode. So we find out that the main challenge this week is the Rappin Roast. Now, I do love a roast, we all know that, both the edible kind, but also the comedy variety. They did this last season, obviously. I wonder if they're going to make this a regular thing now that they're going to have a rapping roast rather than a regular roast. I do like the fact they're trying to switch things up, and this is one of my favourite challenges because I think it combines not just the songwriting element of it, but also the roasting element, which I like. And I will just say, at least it's not another goddamn design challenge, because if there is another one of those, I'm honestly going to open a window and jump out.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
So let's go through the Rappin Roast performances in order in which they appeared. So first up, we had OItsJa. I thought Joey was really funny. I thought her lyrics were great. By the way, I found the lyrics on a website called genius.com online, so I'm going to go through a few of the lyrics and some of the parts. But I think my favourite bit that really made me laugh was when she said to Jasmine, "Jazzy, don't laugh, she's giving cliffhanger. The mug is giving fish. Angler." I thought that was such an amazing read. I also loved that bit about Sugar Cane when she said, "Big back paddy whack, give that bitch a muzzle. AARP Metamucil by the guzzle." Obviously, Metamucil being a fibre supplement for old people. I thought that was so funny. I really loved Joey. She was one of my favourites, so definitely a yay. In the Have Your Say poll, a whopping 94.3% said yay. So you obviously do not have to be a mathematician to work that one out.
So started in 2005, so like 12 years.
That's not 12 years.
It's not?
Then we've got 4.8 for Just Okay, and the nay is so small it doesn't even show up or register, a bit like my fashion knowledge. Then moving on to Jasmine Kennedy. I thought Jasmine was okay. I don't think she was as strong as some of the others. Some of them were quite funny. I do think she maybe could have been a bit more roasty with some of what she said. One of the things I did think was quite funny was she said about Sam, "Great gowns, beautiful gowns, just a shame they're Trinity's hand-me-downs." Also, I think most people noticed literally pretty much everyone only made jokes about Sam to do with having borrowed clothes from Trinity. So I wonder if the queens maybe must have been told that about Sam because so many of them had it. It must have been a thing. But anyway, I thought Jasmine was okay, but maybe not as much as I thought she was going to be. So I'd give it a just okay. In the Have Your Say poll, interestingly, it was 49% for yay, which was the biggest proportion, but then 44% for just okay, so not that far behind, and then 7% said nay. Moving on to Kennedy Davenport. I think Kennedy perhaps had the best performance in terms of she had a character, she really sold it. She was doing quite a similar character, I think, to when she was on All Stars 3 and she did the Bachelor. I thought that was quite good, and I liked the twerking and all of that. Also, some of her reads were genuinely funny. Like, for example, she said, "I know Spice had a twin, who the F is this booger, cause what the hell happened to Sugar?" I thought that was such a funny read. So I really enjoyed Kennedy, I would give her a yay. In the Have Your Say poll, she got 76.7% for yay, so over 3/4, but maybe not as many as some other people got. Then 20.5% for just okay, and then 2.8 for nay. Next, moving on to Hershey Liqueur Jeté. First up, can we talk about how amazing Hershey looks in this outfit? I love those see you next Tuesday type glasses. They're really just serving it for me. What I liked the most about Hershey's was she took it to a slightly different register. It was almost like she was talking to you directly rather than just doing like a do type roast. I think the cadence was really interesting and a lot more direct. It also, because I am a granny, it made it easier for me to actually understand everything she said, because some of the others were so fast, I just literally couldn't can understand. And normally I don't complain about people going fast.
Because you're a slut.
The one thing that really made me laugh was when she was talking about sugar and she said, and you can't read Shug in this age of politics because you know what they say, protect the bricks. Like, that is hysterical. So I definitely am giving Hershey a yay. In the Have Your Say poll, it was 79.3% for yay, so almost 80%, then 18.3% for just okay, and only 2.4% for nay. Then, penultimately, we have Sugarcane. I think the thing with Sugarcane, they kind of said it in the judges' critiques, she was way too nice, and I know she's known for being nice, but this is a roast challenge, so it's like, you gotta give us something. I just think they could have been elevated a lot more. Not many of them were that funny. One I thought was quite funny, though, that no one else really went for, was for Kennedy. She said, Kennedy bucks and flips with grace. She'll do anything to keep you from seeing her face. I thought that was a pretty good read because no one else really said something like that. But in general, it was just not that great. So I probably would have to give it a just okay bordering on a nay. In the Have Your Say poll, overwhelmingly 61.2% voted just okay, then it was 22.7% for nay and 16% for yay. And finally we have Sam Starr. I thought Sam was okay. I did think she was going to be a bit funnier because she was really good in her original roast on her season. She did have a couple of funny lines though. For example, when she said, Jasmine Shaw, her moves pack a punch, but her mug is so hard I call her Captain Crunch. That I thought was a great read. I love that one so much. But in terms of the roast itself, I do think she could have gone in a bit harder, a little bit like your father last night. So I do think that it was good, but more of a just okay for me. In terms of the Have Your Say poll, looks like you agree because, as we know, I am always correct.
That's funny. Tell another one.
54.2% for just okay, 37.3% for yay, so not that far behind, and then 8.5% for nay. Then, moving on, I asked, who's Rappin Roast? That's me doing a roast, by the way. Whose Rappin Roast gets a slay, as in the best, and you voted 53.4% for OItsJa, then it was Kennedy Davenport with 22%, and not that far behind in third was Hershey with 18.5%. I maybe do have to agree I would give it to either Joey or maybe Hershey. I think I enjoyed theirs the most because Joey to me had maybe some of the funniest actual roasts, but I think Hershey had probably the best delivery of the jokes and I really liked the way she did it. But ultimately I probably would give Joey the slay. Okay, so moving on to the runway for this week, and the category was Ladies Who Lunch. So let's go through the runways in order in which they appeared. First up, we have the openly gay OItsJa. I do like this outfit. I think it's kind of a cute colour, and it definitely is giving ladies that lunch in a certain way. I mean, it wouldn't be the most comfortable lunch if you were dressed up like that, but you never know. Maybe some people wear nicer clothes than me when I go to lunch. I'm just too clumsy to wear anything like that in case I spill on it. But I think I would give it a yay going towards a just okay, because I think it probably could have gone in a little bit more. In terms of the Have Your Say poll, 49.5% said yay, so almost half. 42.7% for just okay, so again, it's pretty split, and then 7.8% for nay. Moving on to Jasmine Kennedy. Jasmine was one of the only two that did more of a period piece look, and I really liked that she was doing something a bit different. I thought the hair was pretty cute. The outfit itself is really nicely done. On paper, it almost looks like it shouldn't work because there's just so many conflicting textures, patterns, or whatever, but actually it all does really work nicely, so I would give it a yay. In the Have Your Say poll, 68.6% said yay, so maybe not as many as I thought you might vote for. 23.5% for just okay, which is not that far off a quarter, and then 7.8% for nay. Next up, we have Kennedy Davenport. Now, this outfit is very interesting. I've seen a lot of people online saying, what kind of lunch is she going to dress like this? Now, at Roscoe's, they did talk about this, and I think one of them explained that this is quite a specific reference for people in the South when they go to dinner or lunch or something after church. I think that's the reference, and I can definitely see that, but I just think the outfit itself, for me, doesn't hit all the marks. It's just a little bit more simple. I like that it's a bit sparkly, but to me, it doesn't quite fit the category, so I probably would give it more of a just okay. In terms of the Have Your Say poll, this one was very split, interestingly, but actually just okay just came out on top with 41%, but then it was actually nay with 32.5%, so it looks like more of you didn't really like it. But then still a 26.6% of you did vote for yay, so it looks like you all could not make up your mind. So it all seems that after a long night of hooking, you did not know if Trade liked the session. After that, we have Hershey Le Courgette. Hershey was obviously the second person who went for this more period piece era. I really enjoyed it. I thought the parasol was really cute. That colour is lovely. It definitely reminds me, there's a particular chocolate called Quality Street in the UK that you get at Christmas. I think I've mentioned this in other videos before, and one of them is a gold colour, like a really nice gold, and this very much reminds me of that. And I guess it makes sense because it's a chocolate and she's called Hershey, so I feel like that does actually make sense. I really enjoyed the outfit and I think it's really pretty, so I would give it a yay. In the Have Your Say poll, 59% said yay. I actually thought it'd be more than that, so I was a little bit surprised. 32.9 said just okay, so that's pretty much a third of you, which I was sort of surprised at, and then 8.1 for nay. Then, penultimately, we have Sugarcane. I'm not a massive fan of this outfit personally. I just think it's a slightly odd shape. Again, I feel like she had this problem last week that the skirt is just slightly weird fitting. I don't think it quite is that flattering. She also kind of mentioned that this was a young woman type outfit that she was being inspired by. I'm not sure I quite agree with that, but it is interesting, but not my favourite. I think it could have been elevated slightly more, so I probably would give it a just okay. In the Have Your Say poll, pretty much half of you, 49.9%, I mean, what's 0.1% between friends, said just okay. Then 34% said yay, but then 16.1% for nay, so that is a pretty big proportion. And then finally, we have Sam Starr. I thought this was a really cute look. We've definitely seen this sort of Gucci pink. I will just say, does anybody still wear a hat?
No!
The dog was also cute and I thought it was an interesting way to elevate it, but I also feel like it was a little bit of a gimmick, but at least it was something a bit different, so I would give it a yay. In the Have Your Say poll, 65.8% of you said yay, so again, the vast majority. 27.7% for just okay, which is well over a quarter. Are you impressed by how good my mathematics skills are?
Hail to the no.
And 6.5% said nay. So then for question 4, I said, whose Ladies Who Lunch runway gets the slay, as in the best runway? And you voted 35.7% for Jasmine Kennedy, Sam Starr with 27%, and then in third place was Hershey with 16.6%. I do think that Jasmine's maybe was the most unique and interesting, so I can see why people gave her the slay. I would think this week there wasn't one particular standout. I think everyone did okay, but I guess if I have to pick them, I probably would also pick Jasmine. So we find out the top 2 for this week are Kennedy Davenport and Hershey Le Courgette. I asked you in the Have Your Say poll, do you agree with the top 2? A staggering 73.9% said no, so pretty much 3/4, and then 26.1% said yes. So of that around 3/4 of you who said no, I said, who do you think should have been the top 2 instead? Overwhelmingly, Joey J came out on top, and then it was quite split, but Kennedy did come in second, with Hershey not that far behind. I do agree, I 100% think that Joey should have been in the top this week. I was a little bit surprised in a lot of ways. I wonder though if it was more just because Hershey probably had the best delivery of the roast, I think, but Kennedy probably had the best performance, and Rue just loves everything that Kennedy does, so I do wonder if that was a factor, but I do think the actual funniest roast jokes themselves came from Joey. So Kennedy and Hershey lip-synced the song The Ladies Who Lunch by Alani Stryche. And we find out Kennedy is the winner of the lip-sync and therefore wins the extra point. I asked you in the Have Your Say poll, who do you think won the lip sync in your opinion? You voted with a landslide Kennedy Davenport 92.4%, which is kind of crazy, and 7.6% for Hershey. And I do have to agree. I will say up front, I think this is kind of a hard song to do because it's more slightly spoken word almost, but also singing in my kind of Broadway. It is quite hard to interpret that. I think Hershey did an amazing actual lip sync and she looked the part, but I think the fact that Kennedy gave it a character, this drunk character, she's very good at doing that. She did that obviously in The Bachelor on All Stars 3 as well. I loved the pulling out of the different flasks and everything. She gave it a character and had enough little bits to make it funny, so I can 100% see why she won. And so finally, moving on to the last two questions. Question 7 was, who do you think will be the top 2 of this bracket and go through to the semis? And you voted Kennedy Davenport and Sam Starr overwhelmingly, and they got a lot more than pretty much anyone else. But going on to the more interesting question for question 8, which was, who do you want to be the top 2? This one was a lot more split, which is why I think it's more interesting. Joey J came out on top, which is probably not that surprising given that a lot of people think that she's been robbed quite a few times in a row. Sam Starr technically next with 39.2 of the vote. Don't ask me how these work, by the way, because these do not add up to 100%. If some mathematician in the comments can please tell me how this can work, please do, because I have no idea.
I didn't go to school for math.
But then Kennedy Davenport and Jasmine Kennedy are right behind, so it kind of feels like it's anyone's game in a lot of ways, but definitely Joey J and Sam are coming out on top for who you want to go through. Okay, so now let's move on to something long and hard to fill out, which is my special poll. I know a lot of you want to get your hands on my special poll, but it is only for paying members and subscribers. And no, it's not on a particular website for the fans. This is poll as in P-O-L-L. I will not be posting any poll, P-O-L-E, well, depending on how much you pay me.
Nothing.
But if you do want to clock your eyes on my special poll, you will need to head over to my Patreon or my YouTube membership where you get things like early access, exclusive content, many other benefits, including my wonderful shiny poll. So if you want to know about that, go and check out the description or the pinned comment, which has the links to both Patreon and YouTube membership. But we'll start off with my Patreon special poll. I said, who of the bottom 4 would you give your MVQ point to for this episode? An overwhelming 68% voted for Joey J, with Jasmine second with 16%, Sam with 11%, and then Sugar with 5%. And then the same question for my YouTube memberships. Again, Joey J well came out on top with 62%. Then it was split between Jasmine and Sam, who both got 15%, and poor Sugar only got 8%. And I personally would agree with that. I would give the point to Joey, but we'll get onto that in more detail in a moment when I go through the actual comments for this week. So, speak of the devil and they arrive, let's actually go through the comments. We'll start with my wonderful Patreon comments. My Patreon Debs said, Kennedy's lip sync is immediately classed as legendary. And I agree. I think this was kind of interesting because we haven't necessarily seen quite this type of performance before. We've had campy ones and silly ones, but quite often we've seen Kennedy more in a, bucking, twisting, turning type thing. So it was also really interesting to see her do something funny as well. My Patreon Beck said, I've become such a fan of Hershey, and same. Not that I didn't like her before, but I didn't get a chance to see what she could do, and I loved her roast. This is what All Stars is about, loving getting to know her more, and even if she doesn't get through to the merge, I bet she's gained a lot of new fans. And then moving on to a topic that has come up a lot, which is more to do with Joey, my Patreon Max said, this is such a strong bracket, I was not expecting it. I think Joey was robbed this episode. And my Patreon Lady Nidaria said something kind of similar, saying, when are we going to finally have the difficult discussion about the blatant homophobia of robbing our first openly gay contestant during Pride Month, lol, which is of course Joey J. This was also a huge topic in the Have Your Say poll comments as well, so I'll move on to those now while we're talking about it. A lot of the comments were saying things like Joey J has been robbed for 2 weeks in a row, the Joey J overlook is crazy, they really seem to love him but don't want to see him make it to round 2, which is insane. And a lot of people were also saying that Joey is this bracket's Selena S. Titties, as in robbed, which I thought was a very interesting comparison. And I definitely agree. I do think Joey probably should have won or been in the top last week, and she definitely should have been in the top 2 this week. I do wonder if that means she's not going to make it through and Ru just doesn't see it for her. It is very much giving Ru has already chosen her favourite, which is Kennedy, so she's definitely going to go through. Kennedy is also great, so that's not me discrediting her, but I do think in this particular episode, Joey did not get the flowers that she deserved. Also, to whoever commented this absolutely wild comment, and I think it's Egyptian hieroglyphs, I will say, although this is so childish, my hat goes off to you because this made me laugh for a solid 5 minutes. And if I were born in ancient Egyptian times, this would definitely be what I would scrawl on any bathroom wall. But let me know in the comments what you think. Do you think Joey does deserve to go through to the semis? And do you think that RuPaul does choose favourites? Or do you think it's just a case of other queens overshadowing her? And finally, we're going to talk about a little bit of recent drama to do with Vivacious calling out a designer who scammed her, and Drag Race apparently changed the rules because of this designer. So recently, Vivacious appeared as a guest on Mistress Isabel Brooks's YouTube channel. In the video, Vivacious talked about her infamous tractor runway for the Barn This Way runway on episode 5, which did not go down that well. However, as I've mentioned in a previous video, it was later revealed by Alaska that Vivacious had to make that look on set because she got let down by her designer at the last minute. Vivacious had not spoken out directly about what happened until now, so let's go through what Vivacious said. She described the look she had originally planned as this giant tractor-type vehicle around 8 foot wide that would turn the corner on the runway while the other queens were doing their farm animal looks. But according to Vivacious, the designer really let her down when it actually came to making the costume.
Was he had 6 weeks and 5 days. Only 2 days after they gave the brief, he was commissioned to get everything done. So he did the yellow look and this look. And I said to him, I said, listen, I can come and help you sew because I'm normally up at night. And he's like, no, girl, I have assistance for all of that. I spent weeks trying to reach him and couldn't reach him. I would show up to his studio, knock on the door, the lights are out. The lady who works next to her be like, oh, he didn't come in today.
Then, 8 days before she left for filming, the designer told Vivacious that production had flown him out to LA for All Stars 10 and put him up in a hotel to make outfits for Olivia Lux.
8 days before the event, he goes, well, they allowed me to fly out to LA and stay in a hotel room and make the stuff for what Olivia needs. And so this time around, guess what they did? They wrote physically in the brief that says that if you have any costume try to be delivered to you, it will be sent to another building and you will never see it until you are eliminated and sent home. So they changed the rules just because of the stunt that he did to Olivia.
Vivacious said she reached out to Olivia about this, and Olivia messaged her back and told her to run and not use the designer because they were going to screw her over. But by that point, Vivacious had already paid the designer and she couldn't afford to just go with a different designer. So on the morning that Vivacious was leaving to go and film, she called the designer at 4:30 in the morning. He told her that he was not done yet and he needed a few more hours, and she gave him until 7:30. By 8 AM, she still had not heard anything from him, and her roommate told her they had to leave or she was going to miss her flight. So her roommate took the rest of her bags to the airport, and Vivacious went to the designer's studio to pick up the costume. When she arrived, she said she found him throwing pieces of fabric into a bin. She described it as just little squares of material being thrown in there, and nothing was finished.
And I just started bawling because I saw my whole future of Drag Race flashing in front of my eyes. I'm like, you just destroyed my future. You were given 7 weeks to get this done. My universe with you is fully done. I literally had to yank the bins from him because he didn't want to let it go.
She then said she essentially had to build something wearable from scratch in 10 hours on the day of filming. Mistress also asked how much Vivacious paid for this. Vivacious said she'd rather not say, but described it as, quote, costly. And Mistress said knowing the designer, it was definitely not cheap. Now, Vivacious never actually said the name of the designer in the clip, but both Mistress as well as Luxe Noir London, who was on the video as well, kept referring to the names Domino and Couture throughout the conversation.
Knowing Domino, it was not cheap, and it ain't Miss Couture.
And if you put these two names together, it heavily implies that the designer in question is Domino Couture. That name may sound familiar, because I did actually cover a very similar story in a previous video. But basically, to summarize that video, Monet Exchange released a video on her YouTube channel in February 2026, where she publicly called out well-known designer Domino Couture for allegedly taking $2,500 from her for an outfit she commissioned, but he never actually delivered it. Monet then said she was ghosted and the money was never returned. And I will link to that full video in the description if you want to hear the full story with all the details. But just to be clear, Vivacious herself did not confirm that this was Domino Couture that she was talking about, but Mistress and Luxe heavily implied it. As of right now, it does not look like the designer has publicly responded to Vivacious or Monet's claims as far as I can see, so we'll have to wait and see if there are any further developments from this. But I think it's interesting that this has now been 2 separate queens who have called out Domino Couture for not delivering outfits, and he is a very well-known designer and has had multiple outfits appear on Drag Race that he designed, so this is a pretty big deal. And the fact that Drag Race allegedly had to change the rules about designers coming to set because they had problems with this last season is also an interesting behind-the-scenes production fact that we don't normally get to hear. But as I always say, please do not get involved in any way and do not send hate to anyone. These videos are just to keep you up to date with what's happening in the world of Drag Race, so please just consume this type of content passively. So there you go, there was the Have Your Say for All Stars 11 Episode 8. Let me know what you thought of the Rappin Roast, and what are your thoughts overall on Bracket 3? If you'd like to get your comments featured in my videos, as well as a multitude of other benefits such as early access, exclusive content that is not published on YouTube, as well as much more, please check out either my Patreon, or for a more convenient option, you can also join my YouTube memberships by clicking the join button under any of my videos, and I'll put links to that in the description of my video. Also, thank you so much to my amazing Patreon members. Honestly, you are the backbone of this channel. Your support is so appreciated, and you honestly make such a huge difference, and I love speaking to you in the Patreon group chat, as well as you just being amazing supporters in general. I get such lovely messages from you all, and it is really touching, so thank you all so much. Please make sure you like and comment on this video because it does help to boost it in the algorithm and promote it to more people. And make sure you smash that subscribe button and help push up my numbers. I'd love to get to 150k as soon as possible, but I can only do that with your help. Thank you so much for joining, and I hope you'll join me in the future for some more Drag Race gossip, secrets, and drama. Thank you so much. Bye!